Hello and welcome to the Annie Altman Show, the podcast, Season 5. Welcome to the 5th episode in the 10 Change C episodes. Today, I'm so honored to be here with Shundreya Robinson. We met in Los Angeles. Shout out to Urban 728 Yoga. And now we are virtually recording from Hawaii to LA. Shundreya is a life yogi. She's a lot to share, and I'm really excited to get this. I'm like, can we just jump back to where we were just talking? This is so good. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm actually in LA. I moved out of Hawaii. So, that would have been cooler if we were broadcasting from Hawaii.
Right, which island did you live on?
Oahu.
Right.
Yeah, I wish that would have been a better time for 2020 pandemic. Lockdown would have been, in Hawaii would have been better than LA, but yeah, I'm in LA now.
Doing the LA lockdown life scene, yoga scene. The LA yoga scene.
Yeah, back in the LA yoga scene.
Yeah, and you've lived all over. You've seen a lot of different yoga and life scenes.
Yeah, my mom was in the military, and then I personally have chosen to live outside of the country a couple of times and travel a lot and move around a lot. So yeah, I've done yoga everywhere.
When did you first practice-ish? Do you remember?
The first time I tried it was in Minnesota, and I hated it. I tried it 5 times and didn't like it, but it was like I kept trying because I was like, it seems like something that I would like. It has all the earmarks of something I would love, but every time I tried it, I didn't like it. And then when I moved to LA, I tried it again of this little dance studio my friend had, your neighborhood dance studio, which is no more, but it was a great dance studio. And it was the teacher I found out. I just hadn't found the right teacher. So I finally found a teacher that matched with me, and ta-da, I love yoga. But yeah, it took 5 tries.
Wow, I get that. That makes sense, especially with doing yoga as a whole practice, not just the asana, not just the physical part of yoga, that the jive, the vibe with that teacher. It's the same as with friends, with therapists, with teachers for academics. That's cool that you had that voice that was like, this has a lot of things that we like.
Well, it was also people telling me, they kept saying like, oh, you should do yoga. You would love yoga. And so then I would try another class and be like, I don't like it. But it was like what we were talking about earlier, is I was doing a lot of asana, not a lot of yoga, which means I was going to classes that were very much focused on alignment and proper placement and what your body can do. And then I found a teacher that was focused on how am I doing, not what my body can do. And then that's when I started to like yoga.
Ooh, that's a powerful shift.
Yeah.
From the, like, what do I need to do? What am I doing wrong or not enough? Or how do I do this differently? To what's up, Bod? How's it going?
Yeah, and there was like a lot of nervousness around beginners with teachers in yoga. Like they're like super nervous about you like fitting in or catching with everybody else. And so there's like this extra sort of gross energy in the room sometimes when you're a beginner, and especially like, I think I was always the only Black person in the room too. So they were like, oh, I don't know what to do with this Black person's body in the room, and she's doing yoga and I want her to like it, but I don't know, so there was like, so I finally had a teacher that was just chill.
Yeah, well, so that you could actually practice. Otherwise, there's all that other things going on in your emotional bubble that you're like, hey, I'm a human. I would love to learn. And
the only part I liked in those 5 classes was Shavasana. I was like, man, I love that Shavasana pose, but that's about it.
That's amazing that you kept going back. Like 5 to me, 5 times is dedication to it, to say I'm gonna go give it another experiment. I'm willing to go to another teacher. And especially if you're like, maybe I'm going into another space where I'm the only Black person in this room, I'm still gonna go.
Yeah, I just knew there was something about it. I was like, I know this is for me. I just know it is somehow.
Do you remember like that feeling walking out of the class with the other teacher? Or like, did describe a little bit more of when you had that sort of mind-body yoga breath movement connection?
Like the first time it worked for me?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I mean it's hard to explain union. But
Yeah, just what is the yoga union to you?
but but yeah, but it's like somehow it's like fitting the last puzzle piece into the puzzle. You know, like everything just clicks, and then when it clicks, it's just shh, you know, silence. It's all together. You know, like everything is erased. It's just quiet and calm and balance and harmony. You know, it's
Totally.
one now. There's no piece and a whole. It's like, yeah.
Ooh, I love that physical description of it. That putting that last piece in.
Yeah.
Okay, so how then does that oneness connect to love? For another, like, what is this word, or how do we define or even talk about this? To me, when oneness and love I feel the same, feel very close to the same, feel somewhere layered. Where are your feels on that one?
Oneness and love.
One love.
One love.
Love.
So like love is to me like a social construct. So it's hard to say, like oneness to me is greater than love. Like when there's oneness, you don't have to worry about love at all. So so like love is on the way to oneness for me, I guess is the best way to put it. Love is on the way. It's like a stepping stone, but like the end goal isn't love for me. It's that pure union that's always there, but we're always just like in this false sense of separateness that we are living in. And so I'm not trying to reach love. I'm trying to reach that, you know, that place.
The part where it's not just all, oh, it's all love, man. Oh, peace and light and love and rainbows and sunshine and
yeah, toxic positivity.
Yes.
I'm so glad that people are talking about that now, because I struggled for years with people forcing positivity on me, and also like trying to change myself, being I'm so negative, I need to be more positive. The most angry I've ever been was when I tried to not have negative thoughts and tried to do away with my negativity. I like was so angry. So angry. And you know why? Because I was shitting sideways, if we're allowed to cuss on this podcast.
Shit, fuck, damn, please.
I had a teacher that called it shitting sideways, and I think that's the perfect analogy for it. It's like, because you're stuffing and you're denying things that are really happening and you're reacting to them, and somehow it's going to come out, so you end up shitting sideways, and which is what happened to me when I tried to be like, I tried to like stop the negative thoughts in my head before they came out, and I tried to like I was so angry, and I did about like a few days of that, and I said, no, this is not for me. And I still thought I kind of was in the wrong. And then people started talking about toxic positivity, and I was like, yes, thank you, there's a word for it now we can address it, because it is really toxic, because you're denying, it's gaslighting, like you like to talk about, you're denying the reality of your situation.
Ugh, the shitting sideways. It's gotta go somewhere.
Yeah.
And that denying it or that acting like the negativity didn't happen is just gonna feed it.
Yeah. Have you ever had a yoga teacher that was shitting sideways? Like because they're a yoga teacher, they think they have to be peace, love, and oneness and no negative thoughts. And so like I had this teacher who was like, namaste, by the way, which the word is, mispronounced in the West. That she was all namaste before we began. And then we were in a position and she wanted me to turn my arm out more. So she started hitting me more. And it's like really aggressive. And she would like laugh, but say really mean things as she was laughing. So maybe she thought she could take the edge off of the mean thing she was saying. Like, well, you could do it if you just did this, sort of thing. And it's like, I was like, ooh, she is sitting sideways all over this room. It's like, cause she didn't want to come across as negative or, aggressive. And so, but those things were part of her. So it's like they want to just pretend they no longer have negative thoughts, or they no longer have anger. No, that's not true. It's like how you deal with those things. That's where the yoga comes in, not denying that they exist. That's pointless. That's useless. That's harmful, actually, you know, which gets into the spiritual bypassing when it comes to racism, which is when I say to you, I'm hurting, I'm in pain, I'm afraid for my life. My people, my brothers and sisters are being killed, and you say, it's all love. We're all one. I'm holding the space for you, which please never say to me, ever. But you just bypassed all of my hurt, my pain. You denied my reality. And then also when you say something like, we're all one, or I'm holding the space for you, you don't actually have to do any work. You don't have to make any changes, because you've just said a nice, pretty thing, and you can just go about your day and you feel really good about yourself, but you haven't actually done any work or caused any change, for me, which is what I asked you for, or for yourself, which is kind of more important.
And on top of that, gaslighting you to make it seem like there was work or something done. This tags back to what we were talking to about love as a verb, or love as a noun, or the people who say love is a verb, and then, well, what are your loving actions?
Yeah. Well, if love is a verb, so what are you doing? How are you loving? And like we said before, thoughts and prayers are not enough. I don't want any thoughts and prayers right now. I want action. I want people to show up in real ways, real tangible ways for me. I was okay for 41 years of my life with people, thoughts and prayers, and people saying nice things. But George Floyd for me was the line in the sand. That was the last name for me. And so after that name, I'm no longer okay with your thoughts and prayers, or you trying to hold the space for me, or you saying that we're all one, or that we're all in union, and that you're going through what I'm going through. I'm no longer okay. I now want to see tangible actions from you. And if I don't see that, I'm not interested in having you in my life. And I've had to cut people out not because they were bad people. And in fact, they're very good people who thought they were doing loving things by saying nice things, but not actually showing up for me or showing up for Black Lives Matter. I'm not even asking for the world. I'm not asking for you to go and get a PhD in racism, and social justice. I just wanted small acknowledgments, and they couldn't even do that. And I was like, well, I love you, but I'm going to love you from far away. I definitely need distance. It's no longer something I can accept anymore.
Ooh, no, where's the love? Where's the oneness of you as a human to accept that behavior? And also, if that's the only behavior you'd been accustomed to or conditioned to, or that had been offered because of just generally how uncomfortable and resistant people are to talking about racism or doing things about it. It's like any of these things, if you take them out of here and you're like, okay, there's two humans talking, or two humans who are both interacting, then I guess I'm also kind of stuttering over my own, how do you, well, two parts. One, the part of privilege that is that you don't know all of it, or that you are unable to fully acknowledge everything. And then the other part of it, which is that when someone gives you the gift of helping you acknowledge something, then that's on that person to not, if you don't accept that gift, or if you if you directly cause harm by saying, oh, well, I hear what you're acknowledging, and I hold the space, and also well, here's my experience, or here's the whatever. It's well, that's not the part of acknowledging it. I'm stumbling again. The part of acknowledging it that is both the emotional acknowledgement and then okay, how do I change my actions?
Right.
In terms of going to get educated in whatever forms are available, or that person will do or can do, or
Yeah, something I heard recently, like on a psychologist's page on Instagram, which was really powerful for me, was an apology without change behavior is just manipulation. And so that's what like I'm seeing with some people. It's like, oh, I'm sorry that it's been hard for you, but I'm going to continue to enjoy my privilege and keep my head in the sand, you know. So
And then especially from people who are going so deep in the yoga community and in oneness and in all of this, to say, hey, no one's free until everyone's free. Oh, hey, this does impact you. Even if you're going to just make it about you, you're still impacted, is what I want to yell at those people. Like,
right,
this does, like, you're gaslighting yourself, not acknowledging this, because you're like, oh, well, they're hurting more and I'm not hurting, so I'm just going to let them be over there hurting. And it's like, one, you're connected to them, so you're hurting. Two, this affects you also in more ways than you're aware of. And then
right,
three, also, like, if this is your friend, if this is like, this is a human here, and they're saying, hey, here's been my experience that you don't know.
right. I mean, and privilege can be hard for some people to wrap their minds around, because for them it's normal. It's just a normal day, like, of going through life. They don't see all the ways that they're given advantages, and then they don't know how to use their privilege either to help others. So it can be a little bit tricky for people, but like we said before, I'd rather you start and make a whole bunch of mistakes than you not start at all. You know what I mean? So you don't have to be perfect to join the revolution. You just got to show up, you know? And I just ask people to show up, and unfortunately, some people didn't want to show up for themselves, because, I mean, it's an us. I mean, the best way, I mean, white supremacy is actually a white problem. I mean, Black people are fighting it because we're being killed by it, but it's actually a white problem that white people need to address and solve. So I'm asking you to do the work for yourself, you know, like, not just for me, because it's my life, like, it's life or death right now for me, but also, if this really isn't us, then what happened to me is really happening to you. So that if I'm down on the dirt with a gun to my head, you should be down there with me, you know? So you should show up.
I feel like so much of it is white insecurity that then comes out in, like, in the same way that it comes out on a one-to-one scale, it's the same thing on a bigger scale, as people's own insecurities getting projected, and people's own, oh, well, I'm going to oppress this group that I'm the most scared of because of my fears that I'm not acknowledging about my inadequacies and my whatever. And then people are, I don't have the words of the, because I don't know how like, in my practice as an ally, how do I go, how are, like, the things that I've done or conversations I've had with people of convincing them or showing or demonstrating ways, like what you're saying, that white supremacy is a white people's problem, that this is a white person's responsibility to dismantle, because of privilege too, and because of using privilege as a tool. Like, how do you, kind of like what you were saying too before we recorded about, like, you were talking about in the 90s and people who would not even acknowledge the racism. It's like, where do you even go? Like, it's like all of the feelings, and also just like so much block feeling of, like, where do you go from there, being like, yes, like, where
Well,
you.
there's something that I heard last Sunday that was really powerful for me. It was from Janaea the Future, who is a big protester and activist, and they are amazing. And they give Sunday sermons, sort of, on their Instagram. And the last Sunday sermon, they said, there are no allies, there's only us. So, like, start from that perspective. So So people are coming in like, I don't know what to do. I'm trying to join. Like, you're part of us. Come on, you know? And like we said, like we talked earlier with Neil Brennan, with his great story on his podcast, he was like, Black people are very forgiving. You know, if you come and mess up, we're very forgiving. We're just happy that you showed up. But there's all this fear around, I'm going to say the wrong thing. I'm going to do the wrong thing. Well, guess what? You'll be forgiven then, you know? But show up. This is, I mean, we're in us. This isn't us. So show up.
The oneness and the participating in it and the not like walking on eggshells about it.
Right. And it's like, it doesn't have to be in the street yelling Black Lives Matter. You know, like I talked about this on Facebook as well. It was like, protesting and showing up does not look the same for anyone. It could be reading a book on, you know, the racial injustice in our country, the systematic racism, what it is to be a Black person in America, you know, reading a book on Black history, educating yourself. It can be simple as reading one book. It can be simple as following people on Instagram who are doing education and work and educating yourself and then reposting things. I mean, it can be simple as a repost. I mean, it's also going to be simple as having a conversation. My sister, after the George Floyd murder, she had a bunch of her white friends asking her questions, saying, what can I do? Like, I don't understand. How does racism even look? You know, how does it show up? And so she invited a bunch of them over to her house and they had a conversation. I mean, that was showing up. That was being an ally. You know what I mean? Like, just showing up and having a conversation with someone, asking questions you never thought to ask before, if they're open to it, by the way. Like, don't want to overburden somebody who's already like emotionally overloaded. Make sure they're open to it. But yeah, so it's protest. It doesn't mean that if I say that, you know, I want you to show up, doesn't mean I want you to show up with me at the rally. You know, it could mean I want you to show up for your other friends as well. Like, just my friend Paris, I had to call her up and say, this person doesn't get it. And she said, tell me about it. And she just listened. And that was what I needed. That's how she showed up for me, you know? So there's many ways. Figure out what works for you.
And then do it. This is the part of love being a verb and being a noun of then listen on the phone, then show up to the thing, then follow through.
Right. That's the hard part. But then we talked about how it's anxiety that stops people and fear.
Say more on that, please. I would love.
So I was reading about how procrastination, we think of it as like just laziness most of the time, but really it's like 99% fear and anxiety of like, I don't know how to start, so I keep putting off starting. And so that's what I feel like happens when I say to call people out in the spiritual community and the yoga community. I called a whole bunch of people out on my Facebook page and I said, you know, I've been going to yoga classes and yoga studios and nobody ever mentions Black Lives Matter, but they will talk about how I shouldn't eat meat. You know, I actually was in a yoga class where I was told on Thanksgiving that you probably shouldn't eat that turkey. And this same teacher, though, has never mentioned Black Lives Matter in any of their classes. And it makes you feel like, do you care more about animals than humans? You know, like...
Whoa. What?
Yeah. So I called a whole bunch of people out. And this so-called spiritual community of like, why don't you show up for Black Lives Matter? I mean, this is the thing you always talk about. You should be excited to do this. This is what you guys always want to be activists. You always want to stand up, you know, and say that love, you know, is the answer, and, you know, how much you love everyone, right? So where are you? This basically was my post. Where are you? And I was like, do I need to get a new community? Because nobody's showing up for me. And the response to that was, for the most part, overwhelmingly beautiful. People said, oh my God, I'm sorry. But then instead of just the apology without the change behavior, they then proceeded to do the work. They read books, they educated themselves, they started educating their friends and others. Some people said to me, well, what do I do? And I did give them some like pointers. I didn't do the forum, but I said, hey, here's something you could do. Here's what I need, you know? And then there were just like a small minority of people who just did a spiritual bypassing of, I'm holding the space for you, and you know, anything you're going through, I'm going through too, because we're all one, and may all beings be free. Prayer, BS that people love to do in yoga. and the choice is to be like, that person's ignorant and I'm angry with them, but it really isn't. It's like, it's more like, that's a shame. You're missing out, you know?
Ooh, talk about the change C for you to change into that perspective, that shift. Because it would make a lot of sense to be angry, and also anger, like we were like from the beginning of this, of it not being all peace and love is the part of oneness is anger. And
Yeah.
also like an excessive amount of anger is going to cause harm to someone, and is more than one person can sit with, and is unfair, and is that's not a just system for someone to be in that much. Even if it is justifiable anger, that's not a just system.
Right. I mean, anger takes a toll, but like I was reading recently that love is anger. You know, anger is love. So that is one way to show love, is through anger. It's not a popular idea, but it's true. It's true. I mean, anger certainly has been a great motivator for me. We like to label bad emotion, good emotion, you know, and anger is one of the bad ones. But I'm sorry, anger can be righteous, and it's gotten me off my ass, and it's gotten me in the streets, and it's gotten me committed to things, and it's gotten me to like say, oh, not one more step this way, not one more name, you know. So anger is a great motivator too, and it's been a way that I've loved. Not popular, not always appreciated, but it has been love for me as well. So
it's a lot about boundaries in my experience, and like what you just described of, this is the line, this is it. And then also to go back to what you were saying of anxiety showing up as procrastination, then anger as a way to take action.
Right. I mean, but you first have to feel it. And so, I mean, part of why people spiritual bypass is because they don't want to feel things that they're struggling with. So they say, instead of like dealing with deep trauma or deep psychological issues, they just say, oh, I don't have to worry about that now because I meditate and I do yoga and we're all one. So I don't have to think any negative thoughts anymore. And I don't have to deal with any bad things. I don't have to feel any negative emotions anymore. They think if they do yoga and they meditate, they no longer have to feel bad emotions. And so part of that is, I don't want to deal with this racism thing because this is ugly. And it's nothing but seems like bad emotions, you know. So I'm just going to say something really nice and move about my day in a positive way.
We're back to positivity. I'm hearing that quote too of, if you're not angry, you're not paying attention.
Right. And then there's also like the gross part of it, which I have to acknowledge, is that yoga is a business in the West, and especially in LA. And so people don't want to alienate their customers. I mean, they would say students, but it's customers. Yeah. And so they don't show up, they don't do things, they don't stand out because, you know, they want the money. They have a brand and they don't want to be seen as polarizing. And I think some teachers are also worried about bringing up something like racism, and then you're going into, and they think yoga as a light and positive practice, and then that if I bring this up, it's bringing them down, you know. But that's where I'd want to do the work of racism is on the yoga mat. I mean, for me, that's the best place. That's the most healing place, and self-care place that I can do my work is on the yoga mat. Like when you come to the mat, you bring all that you are with you, and you practice with all of that. So like, why would I deny any part of it just because somebody it's kind of a bad downer sort of feeling or negative? No, I mean, that's what I'm experiencing. That's my reality. I'm not going to deny. I'm not going to gaslight myself. I'm not going to light wash it. So good or bad, it's all on the mat. People think you only bring the good to the mat. That's not true. Good or bad, ugly, whatever label you want to give it, it's all there. Might as well move with it and breathe with it, unless you just want to keep hanging on your back and having it ride you, instead of moving with it.
Does it feel like to you when you do your yoga, is it a way of the union between love as a verb and love as an action?
I don't worry about love when I do yoga.
I'm going back to that concept because I'm asking myself that same question too, of because you blew my mind of love as a noun, and
yeah,
so I'm still very much in that of how does this fit together, and how does this fit in with oneness? And
yeah, so I should probably mention like what I said to you before we started recording was that I heard this great thing from a teacher, which was that yoga is a noun and not a verb. So asana is the verb part of yoga. We go and we do the poses, which are called asana, and we think that's the yoga, but the actual yoga is through all this movement with our body and with our breath. We sometimes find, not all the time, sometimes find this beautiful union, mind, breath, body, soul, universe, divine, whatever you want to call it. It all sort of comes together, and there's this union that happens, and that's the yoga. It's a state. So yoga is a state, which is a noun. So, and that's what I mean. Like people like to say, love is a verb, which it's like a truthiness. It sounds really great, but what does that mean? And the more you think about it, the less it means. So, so that's why I was saying like love is a noun. It could be a state. So, I mean, you can do.
And states change, like the 3 different states of matter.
Yeah. So like you can do the asana, which is the verb to the yoga, or you can show up for your Black friends, which is the verb to love,
And both of them require changing your behavior, doing something different from not doing it.
I mean, I feel like when you say change your behavior, that's like scary to people. I would more say examine your behavior, examine the ways your privilege is showing up in the world for you and not for other people. Which doesn't mean money. Privilege does not mean money. Like that's another common misconception. People hear privilege and they think rich white people. And no, I don't. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the privilege of not being scared of the police. Something as simple as that. Like I look at, when I see a cop car, I tense up. Are they looking for me? What are they doing? What's going on? Some people have the privilege of never having to worry about that. They've only had good experiences with police officers. I have not. I've had bad experiences and some good, But yeah, so my first reaction is to tense.
And then that's that same thing you're saying, like what you're just talking about, of observing it and noticing it.
Yeah.
And then sharing it and being like, hey, this is not everyone's first reaction here, and it doesn't need to be this way.
Right.
This is the part where I go potentially too much into the hippie love or into all of the like, well, it doesn't need to be this way. There's enough food for everyone. There's enough places for everyone to sleep. Like, this is, what are we doing?
I mean, I agree. It doesn't need to be this way.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
then it's like how to have that and also have the actions of like,
Yeah, America was founded on this great independent spirit, um, you know, which is really beautiful to begin America, but I feel like it's gone on for too long. It's now to get away from that independent spirit. Let's get a more of a community spirit going on here. I think it was really very visible during this pandemic how selfish Americans can be. Like they were willing to risk other people's lives so they're not inconvenienced. I mean, that's it. Just so they're not inconvenienced by having to wear a mask, willing to risk other people's lives. And so it's that independent streak which got us really far, but only so far. You know, so we definitely need to be more of a community spirit built in America right now.
totally. I'm hearing the part too, like, or tagging back to the part you were saying about the difference between the language and the definition of being an ally versus we're all us, we're all, and then also being mindful of, okay, well, spiritual bypassing and we're all one isn't still like, it's like showing up with the mentality of we're all one and still showing up and
Right, exactly. So
and that
spiritual bypassing is like just saying the words but not doing the actions, you know? So if you're gonna say we're all one, then when I'm at this next protest, I want to see you there. You know, being one with me. If a black person is being pulled over by a cop, I want to see you being one with them by pulling over and making sure they're okay. You know what I mean? If you're seeing racism or somebody saying something racist, I want to see you be all one and call them out or check them. You know what I mean? That's when you show up. Then you're not spiritually bypassing. Then you're just being spiritual. You know? Then you can call yourself spiritual, but all fancy language and no action, empty,
Ooh, that action of pulling over behind someone who was pulled over just to like, I'm just here. I'm just going to be a witness.
Yeah.
Powerful stuff.
It is really powerful. It's shameful that it needs to be done.
It is shameful. You sound, and I can only imagine and I can only guess with all the different places you've been, like your tone with that sounds both like you have allowed the anger and also like you are like the anger isn't driving the car or like it's not or like
it's in the backseat.
Yeah, like it's coming along, it's still there, and it's also like for lack of a better word, from the oneness, from the love, from the you as a human place is like, that's how your tone there sounds to me or feels, where you're like, that's like, you're like calling it out, you're very much labeling it, you're having the emotional response, and also it's not like, I guess frozen by it almost for that same like.
Yeah, you're not stuck in the state. So like, the stages of grief, you're not stuck in the state of anger where that's all you see and then it's not motivating, because anger as a motivator can be love, but anger just as anger and you're stuck there, not as helpful. But I mean, let's be honest, I've struggled, last weekend I was struggling with justice because it doesn't seem like we're ever going to get any justice. Every time, a black person is killed, the cops are either not arrested or they're acquitted, and it's not looking good for Breonna Taylor. The report just came out from the FBI and the Attorney General is still saying, oh, we don't have enough evidence, which doesn't make any sense. And I was really struggling with the injustice of everything going on. And like nothing, like they just keep getting away with it. They just keep saying horrible things, doing horrible things, and there's no consequences. And I was actually on the phone that weekend too, calling people, all the council members in Los Angeles, because there's a new bill they're trying to pass where that you can be, what's the word? Not decredited, just decertified as a cop. So as of now, if you're fired for police brutality or for killing someone you can still be rehired at another police station, and you can also be rehired by the same police station that fired you, which also does happen. So what they want to happen is when someone is fired for police brutality or things like that, or abuse of power, they're decertified, therefore they cannot be rehired. And that is something I was on the phone trying to get people to vote for. And that's ridiculous that I have to do that, that's even, that people are being rehired, you know? Like, so it seems like we got justice and then we didn't. You know, they were just, it's like the Catholic Church. They were just moving the pedophiles around, you know, like on a chessboard. Oh, just put it over here, they won't see, you know? And so I was really struggling. Like, I don't see any justice. I don't see us ever getting any justice. And I just had to meditate. Once again, I just went to the mat and I meditated, and I realized that justice is not required for me to continue my life. So I was like stopping my life, waiting for this justice to happen that was never going to happen. And I was going to be stuck, you know? So I said, I can move forward without justice because people have done it. My people have done it their whole lives. My ancestors have done it. We've all done it. We keep moving forward without justice. So, I mean, it's not pretty, it's not lovely, but it's something I have to do for my sanity, you know? Sitting here demanding justice and being stuck demanding for justice is only going to keep me stuck and angry, and I won't be taking care of myself. I'll be poisoning myself with my own anger in a way. So that was a lot.
Thank you. So I'm like already like, how do I re-listen to that like 10 times? Whoa. Wow. There is that piece I so resonate with that says justice, 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 justice. What do I do if it's not happening yet? How can I do anything? Like, this still isn't here. Like, this is still like this. And wow.
You'd be surprised what you can live with.
So then we come again to anger, though, of anger as part of the tool to navigate that boundary of where you, like, what's the line between tolerating something and something that is not okay and that is not tolerable?
I mean, we're not tolerating it. We're out protesting against it, but we have to still live with it. Yeah, so it's a lot, yeah.
It's a lot. Okay, I would love to sort of
I do yoga.
Woo, yeah, wow. The rehiring is disgusting, and it's even more disgusting for people to not, how do you not see the harm? Like, people are just talking about the training and schooling for police officers.
Yeah. Which is not very thorough, yeah.
Not at all.
No.
Ugh. Okay. I would be curious if you're open to kind of like somehow circle or come back towards, okay. So specifically, I don't have the question formulated in my head yet. Specifically though, with racial injustices and specifically with anger has been used a lot of specifics here. Anger has been used as a tool to gaslight against any sort of injustices, and specifically with racial and specifically against Black people, of like the stereotypical, oh, the angry Black woman, and then, oh, we're gonna gaslight and just put you in this box of, it's like taking that anger, it's like wanting to claim that anger almost, or I'd be curious, like, how does that get dismantled, or how that's come up for your life, or how, like, I can only imagine that's been spiritually bypassed of like, oh, well, you're just being angry. It's like, fuck yes, I am, because I'm just angry about here.
Yeah, I'm an angry Black woman and proud of it. People used to tell me in the Midwest, you're so intimidating, because I would speak my mind. And anytime a woman stands up and speaks her mind, she's seen as angry, or, you know, that sort of thing, where it's just like a guy being a guy, just Tuesday for Mike. But, you know, but, ooh, that's Shundreya. She's so aggressive, like, you know, and also there's like, in built with that that stereotype of the angry Black woman is there's the fear of the angry Black woman, like, what's she gonna do to me if she's angry? Like, I'm not gonna fight you. You know, I'm not gonna beat you up. So like, people think when these Black people are angry, we're out to get you. It's like, no, we're out here fighting for justice. We're out here fighting for something really beautiful. And we're angry that we have to be out here fighting for it. We're not out here to beat anybody up or destroy things. Actually, when you look at all the damage that was done, it was actually done by white people and or people, white supremacists, infiltrating, you know, Black Lives Matter group to cause damage to make Black Lives Matter look bad. So we're angry, but we're not destroying things. We're trying to build something. We're trying to build something with our anger, you know? We're not trying to destroy or take down, or, you know, we're trying to take down racism, but yeah. Other than that, no, we're trying to build something. We're trying to get something with this anger. So I'm okay with my anger. I've made peace with it. It hasn't been nice. I mean, being seen as an angry Black woman, but you know, as they say, bitches get things done. So.
Yeah. Well, and also one of the, in addition to love and asana as a noun, one of the other things that you said before that was like a total reframe of this to me was about, now I'm like tripping over my words again. I'm like, how do I go into, we're talking about anger as, was that part of what seems to be people's hesitation to really acknowledge a lot of the anger is that part of them that sees the justification of that anger.
Right.
Like, even more wanting to minimize something because of its legitimacy of saying,
right.
Oh yeah, we're hundreds of years behind in acknowledging this anger. There's things to still be angry about that are still happening with gun violence, with all sorts of systemic injustices. It's almost like too blaringly right, and people are like, oh wow, that's like, we're just gonna, oh well, let's just, like, it's bullying in some ways to me, and like it's so cool to see you're being like, I'm proud to be an angry Black woman, and this, like, bitches get things done. And it feels like a form of bullying to be like, oh, you're an angry Black woman.
Well, I mean, it's meant to shut me up, because they think women are always, they always try to shut us down by calling our behavior in some way sort of ugly or unattractive, because they think that's what's really important to us, is to be seen as attractive and desirable. I don't care. So it don't work on me. That's okay. So it's not going to work on me. But yeah, but back to what you're saying is that with the fear, with the anger is knowing that it is justified. And they think that we're out for revenge, but we're just out for justice. And they're lucky that's all we're out for, you know, because they know. It's like that. There's this great teacher. Oh God, I can't remember her name right now. I think it's Jane something. She's this older white woman, does a lot of work on racism. She's all over the internet right now, but she had a class where she's like, there's a sea of white people in this class, and she said, you know, stand up now if you are okay with being treated how Black people are being treated in America. And nobody stood up. She goes, wait a second, maybe you didn't understand the question. Stand up if you're okay with being treated how Black people are being treated in America. And still nobody stood up. She goes, so that means you know it's wrong. What are you doing about it? So no white person wants to be treated how Black people are treated in America. Nobody. So they know there's a problem. They know there's a problem. You think Trump if they ask him, would you like to be a black man? He's not going to want to, well, he wouldn't make it, but he says like racism doesn't exist or it's, not a problem, but he would not want to be treated like a black man in America. He knows that. So they know it's a problem. So that's where some of the fear comes in, because they know we have not been treated right. And they know that they have turned a blind eye to it for most of their lives.
And then to go back to the spiritual community and any sort of religious of treat people how you want to be treated.
Right. And so like, they got to call themselves out, which I'm not sure everyone can do. Yeah.
And invite that anger in and love the anger and just accept the anger, notice the anger, notice all of it.
Yeah. I had to do a meditation with anger and like listen to it. Listen to what is your anger is telling you something. It's saying there's a hurt somewhere. And I just did like, a detective, and I just sat down with my anger and had a conversation. Where does it hurt? What are you trying to tell me? What am I missing? Do
you want to share what it told you?
It was back to the justice thing, the injustice. So it was like, we need to move. It was like, for me, it's very damaging, just the way I'm built. It's very damaging to see things without having any sort of action. So I can't watch the videos and hear about another person being killed, another person being beat up, another horrible thing Trump has done, without action. So then I gotta pick up a phone call. I gotta go out to a protest. I gotta post something. I gotta have a conversation. You know what I mean? So I just can't sit in it. It's just not the way my nervous system is built. It's not good for me.
You gotta let it move.
Yeah, I gotta use it as a motivation.
I really appreciate you using your time, motivation, energy to come and talk about this stuff and share it and point out and notice spiritual bypassing in communities of love and peace. And
yeah, well, thank you for inviting me to talk about it. I mean, that's really cool that you're using your platform to do that. So
thank you. I appreciate that acknowledgement. I definitely am in the learning of what does it even mean, like a platform, or what is this, like, how do I do this gesture with people in a podcast way of passing the mic, of saying like, or to people who wouldn't necessarily get on the mic normally or go on a podcast and like, hey, tell me what it's like for you to be a human, please, however much you want to share. Yeah, this is one piece that I know of right now that I can do, and I know there's lots of other pieces too. And yeah, again, it really means a lot that you are willing to talk about all of this on the podcast and come on. And I would love to I look forward to talking more about spiritual bypassing and all of these things, because there's more to learn every time you notice more of it that's been bypassed.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to not having to experience it again. I'm hoping that calling it out some people will quit it.
Acknowledge it. Yeah, people can eat whatever food they want to eat with their body. It's their choice and all the things. All of it. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate, again, your time and energy here.
Thank you, Annie.
Thank you so much for tuning in, and thanks for being you.